massive comet passing dangerously close to Earth. It returns to the Earth every 433 years, but this time it will be visible because of the distance.
Ohne Ihren Anführer sind Sie verloren. Scheißkerl, bleib stehen! Wie so ein Schirm möchte ich auch gern lesen. Kommt nur zu denen, die... Notiert vor, General, Lee!
Dr. Kim is a researcher working on a project to create a warhead for North and South Korean joint forces. In the meantime, the military leaders of North and South Korea are discussing their plan to surrender a nuclear warhead. But a North Korean major named Kang is displeased with the consolation. Hence, he, along with North Korean soldiers, kidnaps Dr. Kim, who has a keycard to the unit where the nuke is kept. By midnight, the nuke is stolen and brought to the waters. Even Dr. Kim ends up being kidnapped. The South Korean soldiers find out about the intrusion. A platoon under the leadership of Major Park is dispatched to catch Kang and his team of soldiers. Both parties meet each other in the middle of the Han River. A loud bang is heard that initiates a gunfight between them. The noise came from a massive comet passing close to the Earth. The phenomenon causes the boat to disappear, and when Dr. Kim opens her eyes, she finds herself in a field. Several men in traditional clothing are running about and fighting. It turns out that the comet caused a time rift in the atmosphere, sending 3 North and 3 South Korean soldiers into the year 1572. Currently, the war between Joseon-era Koreans and Joseon invaders is going on. The soldiers think it is a joke until they kill the Joseon soldiers with an explosive, angering their commander. The commander tries to attack them, but stops when a gunshot hurts his ear. After the invaders leave, the poor Korean villagers surround the soldiers and treat them as messiahs. At night, Park points his gun at Kang. When the conversation gets heated, Dr. Kim calms both parties, ordering them to put the conflict aside until they figure out how to get back to the future. She is worried about the missing nuke that is 100 times more intense than the atomic bombs used in World War II. Since Kang is responsible for its disappearance, he promises to find the nuke one way or the other. Somewhere else, the Joseon leader is busy shaming the commander who ran away from the battlefield earlier. He hands the commander a crossbow and gives him one last opportunity to kill all of Heaven's soldiers. Back in the cave, a commoner spies on the soldiers and tries to steal from them when they are asleep. However, the guy is an idiot and decides to help the soldiers sleep comfortably instead of running away with the stolen items. He is eventually caught, but the commotion attracts the attention of the village's guards. As a result, the thief and 2 soldiers are taken to the king for display of violence. Kang and Park dress up as commoners and watch the hearing from the sidelines. The thief's name is announced to be Yi Sun-sin from a place called Asan. The name sounds familiar to Park, and upon embarking on it, he realizes the thief is the legendary Korean warrior who will later become instrumental in the defeat of the Japanese invasion. The king orders to behead Yi and both soldiers for stealing an explosive that he thinks is a metal ball. At night, a soldier comes to their rescue. Park tells everyone that Yi is no other than the great warrior they read about in history classes. The information leaves everyone in shock as they turn to look at the idiotic thief who doesn't possess a single quality of a warrior. Yi manages to run away when the others are distracted. When he wakes up the next morning, the soldiers are in his front yard, making themselves at home. They bow down, addressing him as the general and asking for forgiveness. Yi believes they are trying to trick him. Park takes it upon himself to train Yi and make him the general he is destined to become. Eventually comes to terms with the harsh training. Meanwhile, Kang and the North Korean soldiers continue looking for the nuke, which they think has time-traveled with them. When no one is around, Yi goes to the woods with the weapons he had stolen from the soldiers and wants to sell them in the future. He buries them near a tree, and a little peasant girl sees him doing so, but Yi manages to send her away after bribing her with a bar of chocolate. However, a few hours later, she walks out of the woods with a gun in her hands. The Joseon spies sent to find the soldiers notice the girl. They register that the soldiers must be nearby. Dr. Kim excitedly gathers everyone and reveals that she has discovered something about the comet. The last time it traveled close to Earth was 433 years ago, which is why they were transferred to 1572. It's exactly 433 years earlier than their time. If they follow the pattern according to the moon's calendar, the next comet will pass in 4 days, which means they can return home. At night, Park sees his soldiers digging through Yi's belongings. They find many plant roots and figure out Yi is actually a lowly smuggler. They burn all of it, asking Yi to get his act together and do what he is supposed to do for the nation. Angered by them treating him like a kid, Yi storms away. A while later, a South Korean soldier pretends to read his palm, telling him everything he will achieve in the future. Yi laughs at the guy, refusing to believe him. When the soldier tries to tell him the entire truth, an arrow lands in his neck and kills him. Yi is then surrounded by the Joseon invaders. They hold him hostage, showering him with whips to torture him. The commander wants to know where the rest of the soldiers are. If Yi tells them, he gets to be killed peacefully, but if not, he might suffer a lifetime's worth of torture. The commander brings the peasant girl who had the gun. To save the little girl's life, Yi promises to show them the soldiers' residence in the morning. The commander lets the girl go free, but then hits her with an arrow before she can run away. He threatens to do the same to Yi if he doesn't hold up his end of the deal. Kang and his coordinates come to Yi's rescue. They also discover the nuclear warhead was inside a tent all along and are finally able to retrieve it. They enter a room where the heir of the Joseon is resting. He has the gun that was stolen from the girl, which he tries using on Kang. However, Kang manages to kill the guy and run away with Yi. The next morning, the Joseon leader finds his son's dead body and is stricken with grief. Both the leader and commander make it their mission to kill the escapee. Somewhere else, Yi is shaken by the unjust death of the child. He gets a reason to fight. Meanwhile, with the nuke in their possession, the timing and location of the comet's passing are accurately calculated. Hence, the soldiers prepare to leave the past as it currently stands. In the following scene, they are holding a funeral for the dead member of their team. Just then, they are approached by the villagers, who have dug out the weapons from the woods. They want the soldiers' help to seek revenge for the girl who was killed. The villagers alongside the modern Koreans prepare for the battle. For an entire day, Yi inspects the areas around the village and figures out which path their rivals are going to take. Still, there is a huge chance that all of them will die in the battle, since the villagers are going against the trained fighters of Joseon. On the day before the arrival of the Joseons, Dr. Kim notices that their clocks are moving faster. This means the comet is accelerating at a greater speed, and they will have to return home before the Joseons invade. The soldiers have to choose between returning to their old life or helping the villagers. They decide to go with the former, because staying in the village might not help Yi in the long run. As they prepare to leave, Park suggests Yi also run away to save his life. He has to be alive for the future when the Japanese invade Korea, but in the end, he is knocked out and carried off for his own good. Everything goes according to plan until the North Koreans realize that they will be sentenced to death when they return to the future for stealing the nuclear warhead. At the last minute, Kang changes his mind and elects to go back to the village to help defend it from the Joseons. The others follow his lead and decide to stay behind for their own reasons. They even hand their necklaces to Dr. Kim, asking her to return them to their families. A while later, the stubborn Yi manages to escape his confinement and joins the soldiers and the villagers in their battle. The invaders initiate the first attack, giving rise to a long and hard fight. The soldiers use the guns and explosives to kill the first batch of soldiers before they do any damage. But when the second batch arrives with crossbows, the villagers are pushed back and most of them are killed. After an intense battle, the leader of the rivals is finally killed and the villagers become the victor. Somewhere else, Dr. Kim is also attacked by the Joseons. A guard fights them to keep her safe. She is almost killed by a grenade, but the comet arrives right on time and creates the time rift yet again. She and the warhead make it back to the present, and she reports their experiences to the Korean generals. At last, they decide to turn over the warhead and maintain peace in both nations. We see Dr. Kim visit a local memorial of Admiral Yi. She misses the soldiers. The scene then shifts to the time of the Battle of Myeongyang Strait. There, we see that Yi has now become the general and is preparing to face the Japanese soldiers. In the battle, he and only 13 Korean ships successfully destroy an over 300-strong Japanese armada.